As far as my mom told me, that he was the only white non-supervisor, and that was the word she termed it. So I'm assuming there were white employees, but they were in supervisory levels or management levels, if you will. They weren't out on the trucks, out in the field, but he was. He was the only white one, according to my mom, what she told me. He became my stepdad when I was very young, probably, I think if I remember, somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 or 6 years old. So he pretty much was my dad all of my life. We lived in Tipton County in our early years, and that's where he met my mom, and that was in Covington. I know he served in the military in the Korean War and during that era, and he had an 8th grade education from what I'm told. He grew up in a very poor family, a rural poor family somewhere up in Tipton County area. We moved to Memphis in the mid-60s, and he did various jobs around town, and then sometime around, I think around 67, 66 or 67, he got hired on the sanitation department, and he worked on a sanitation truck, garbage truck. He was a proud man that just wanted to be earning money and paying the bills for the family and taking care of us. And he treated those guys that he worked with just like they were part of the family. His co-workers came over to the house. They'd get together and do a brake job on the car. You know, they'd help each other out. I do remember riding with him over some of my co-workers and their sons, and I'd play with them, and you know, we were just kids. And he helped them out, and they helped us out. Once the strike took place, he was all in support of the workers. I mean, he was one of them. And I think he felt the need to have better benefits and to be treated better and more fair. I did hear him talk a little bit about it with my mom, and that he felt like that's the first time I ever heard it, and that was after the strike had already started. Now, later on in the strike, he had to go back to work. And this is secondhand story I got from my mom years later, and the way she explained it, he was not allowed to attend the meetings. They did not want him there because he was white, and I don't think they trusted him. Even though his co-workers knew he was with them, and he was one of the people that wants to be represented. There were so many other sanitation workers from the other barns across the city that they didn't trust him, and I think that was just the climate at that time. There was very little trust between the city people, the white people, the supervisors, and so on. He was non-supervisor, so but they still didn't trust him. So he eventually had to go back to work, and he had to go across the picket line and go to work. It really broke his heart, and I remember seeing him and my mom in the kitchen, and him having tears in his eyes and kind of crying, because he was a man too, and he just wanted to be represented and feel like he had his right to be out there and march with the rest of these people that were on strike and looking for better treatment and better benefits and to be respected. And when he felt like he had to go back to work, he felt like he wasn't being, given the attention, equal attention either. He wasn't receiving any strike fund or any of the money that they were raising. So his coworkers agreed that, you need to pay the bills. Go ahead and go back to work. We know you're with us, and we're going to speak up for you. And they did. During the strike, it was very tense around the house. The phone was ringing all the time. We were getting, according to my mom, we were getting threats because he was going to work. And his co-workers actually came over and stayed at the house in the front on some evenings because they feared that some of these radicals, if you will, I mean, I'm just using that term loosely, might come over and try and cause some trouble because he had gone back to work. The assassination affected everybody. I mean, I would be remiss to think that he didn't get affected by it. But honestly, I don't know that I ever really heard him talk much about it, other than the same thing we were all saying, is that we were sad to see that it happened, and he was very sad about that. Ironically, while he's on the sanitation department and on strike trying to get better wages and better conditions, I went to school at Bellevue Junior High School with some of the children of the main civil rights workers here in Memphis. Maxine Smith's son, Vasco, and Tark Sugarman, whose dad was very involved, Archie Willis. These guys were my classmates, Dwayne Cowles and Dwana Cowles. Now, they were a little older than me, but I knew them. They were just a few grades ahead of me. So we went to Bruce and then Bellevue Junior High School together. So it was a little strange coming to school and knowing I'm sitting in class with these people who are out there fighting for the rights and the betterment of treatment of these workers, including my stepdad. I've told people through my life, you know, my friends, I've talked to them, and they would be, what? Your stepdad was on the sanitation department? And I would say, yeah, in '68 during strike, he was there. So we just kind of kept it in the family, and we didn't really make a big deal about it. As I've gotten older, I realize the value in that as well, and I'm proud now when I talk about it. When you're a kid, there's a little bit of an image thing when you tell someone your dad is a garbage man, and now I think it's a proud thing to say that, because those guys are very important in our society, and it's a very important job function, and they're as important as the police and fire in protecting our community and what they do. And so now I'm excited to be able to share that with people.